Alright, welcome to the last video in the Intro to Python series for STA 3032. Today we're going to go over data aggregation with the data frame. So start our IPython notebook, our Jupyter notebook called data aggregation. So now that's this screen here we got. And again, for data frames, all we need to do is import pandas. So we'll go ahead and import pandas, Control Enter there. And I created a new file called store data with total. So if you remember last time, we had this file called store data. And this is the example that we used. Let's go ahead and create a total column in Excel. We're just going to say equals this times unit price times quantity. And we'll copy that formula and go all the way down here. And we'll paste that formula so all those values are there. Now, the big difference between Python and Excel is if you multiply nothing times a value, you get a 0, which is one of the options we talked about. You can fill your NaNs with 0. That's the default that Excel does, but we're going to go ahead and leave those blank. So now we'll file save as. So we're creating basically a new file. We're going to call it store data with total. And we're going to save it as a .csv file. Go ahead and hit save. Yes, I want to save it. And yes, I want to keep it in that format, so it knows that it's in the CSV format. So now we have this file here, and it's a relative path to where our thing is, so it's in our data folder, and then store data with total. So we'll go ahead and import it and see what it looks like. Okay, just like the last video, but now importing it, it comes already along with that total column. So what's different in this video? First thing we're going to learn is aggregation, so grouping data by a column. So you'll see here we have our customer column. We can go ahead and group it, set that as a grouping variable, and now you'll see that creates something here. And with that, we can go ahead and run the sum method that we learned on it last time. From the last video, we learned that there's a bunch of methods you can create based on a data frame, and there's also a data frame group by object, and it also has the sum method as well. And when you do that, you'll see that it created the 3 unique customers that existed, and then all of the numerical columns now have quantities in them, unit price and totals for each one. So Alice has bought 15 items with a total unit price of $18, and her total money that she has spent is $36. And that's because we grouped the data by our customers. We can also look at just a particular output. So this gave us all the numerical columns, but if you only care about one of them, you can just square bracket and put which one you care about, and then run the sum as well. And you'll see that all we don't get the label, we don't get a nice table, we just get our customer column and our total, how much each one spent. So if you don't put the columns that you care about, you can just leave it without that and just do .sum, you get all the numerical columns will come out for you in a nice pretty table. If you only care about one or so, you can just do it as based on the column name. So now let's go into an example. Looking for the best selling items. We're going to group by our items now because we're caring more about what items are selling well. And we're going to look for 2 different things. We're going to look for the quantity that's sold, and then also which one's bringing us the most money, netting us the most money. And we're going to run our sum on that these 2 columns. But we're also going to sort it by quantity because we care about quantity. And we're going to sort it ascending false, meaning I want the largest value first. And you'll see oranges have the highest quantity. We've sold 12 of those. If you wanted to sort by total, what money has brought us in, or what item has brought us in the most money, you'll see that even though we've only sold 2 gold nuggets, it's brought us in the most money at $2,000. So that's how you group your variable based on what you care about. Then you're going to put your output columns that you care about, that you want to see, and then you're going to run your method, either sum, median, mean, those those different methods that you can run here, and we can sort the table based on a particular column, and then ascending false or true depending on if you want it to go from largest to smallest or smallest to largest. So that's how you group data based on one column, getting sums for the other columns that you care about. Now let's look at returning customers. So how we've looked at, this is now items. Now we're going to care about customers. So we'll print our data just so we can see it. And then we don't even need to print the head because we know that's just the first 5. So I can actually just cut that cell out of there. We're not going to need that one. But let's go ahead and look at the date. So we're going to look at the date column, and we're going to group that data, group by 2 things now rather than just one. We're going to group it by customer and then by date, and we're going to do, instead of a sum method, we're going to do a count method. So this is how we would figure out how many times each customer has come, and then how many times different days that they've come. So it looks like last year in January the 2nd that Alice came twice in one day, and on the 3rd she also came twice in a day. So this is how you group by 2 things. You just comma separate them in the group by method, and then at the end we're getting a count of how many things are in each of those. So now we can also group by just the customers and the unique customers, and that's going to give us our 3 different customers. But since we only care about the date output, you'll see that all that it gives us is a string, or the date times of when the customers came and the unique instances of that. So you'll see that even though she came twice on the 2nd, you only see 1 of those in this output. And the last thing we're going to apply is the same thing as above, but we're going to look at the length of each of those objects rather than the comma separated list of dates. We're going to get you the length, which is the days that we care about. So how many different times has Alice come on different days? 5. Bob has come on 4, and Charlie has come on 2 different dates. And you can go up here and see that data for yourself. Even though on the 2nd Alice came twice, she still only came 5 unique days. Okay, so that's it for this video and the intro series. More to come. Probably I'll do another video on plotting, and then I'll do obviously another video on specifics for the assignment, but that'll come later in the semester. Alright, hope you enjoyed these videos.